We got our line all measured out and we have it coming down here. And I already know I kind of want the bottle sitting kind of in this back corner. And this is gonna be about right there. So we know our CO2 line is gonna have to drop down about right there. But we're gonna screw this on, make sure it's all pressurized. So step one is to just get this tight with your fingers, as tight as you can, and then get a wrench. And pro tip, do not death grip that thing on. Not recommended at all. You're just gonna wanna take the wrench that fits on there and just kind of give it one little turn to make sure it's wrench tight and not just finger tight. So we'll make sure that's finger tight there. And what that'll allow us to do is we can get our CO2 tubing measured out, cut, and installed. Let me get my scissors here. Probably want it right there. If anything, I almost like it better right there, but if we do it right here, we can really see the whole, you know, we can see what our PSI is at, we can see what our working PSI is at, and we can see what our bubble counter's doing there. So what I'm gonna do is just give this some slack. So if I ever want to, you know, twist or maneuver it, it's not gonna be super tight. So I think right about there is gonna work great. You're gonna wanna screw this little silver piece off and you're gonna wanna thread the tubing through it. Get that out of the way. Wiggle your tubing onto that little top part there. And once it's all the way touching the top of those threads there, you can let your screw down. And what that does is create a nice little pressure seal on it. And again, none of this requires death grip strength. You just wanna make sure it's nice and tight. You don't wanna grip those on because you will have to be getting into this system quite frequently. So that looks tight to me. Unscrew this, leave that up there. So for, you know, since this whole entire build is a first for me, we're gonna try something new with this bubble counter. I've read everywhere online and I've heard a lot of other aquascapers talk about using mineral oil for their bubble counter. Mineral oil is a different type of liquid and it actually allows a gas or a bubble to flow naturally through it. So in water, water lets the bubbles rise a little bit faster. So if you're using mineral oil, it allows you to get a really accurate read on your bubbles per second. Obviously you want to use a CO2 checker, but using that mineral oil doesn't evaporate as fast and it gives you a better reading on your bubbles here. So where is our mineral oil? This is our food grade mineral oil. And just so you're wondering, if you're wondering, hey, what if this gets in your tank? Is there any reason to worry? There's really not, because not only is this gonna be sitting here not filled up all the way, it's gonna have a check valve too that's not gonna allow any water to come into contact with this solution. So I am not worried about this interacting negatively with my tank. So let's open up this and hopefully not spill it all over the place, because I'm sure this would be a mess on the carpet. That is just what we need. And normally I fill it up just right to the top there and I leave a little smidgen open there. I know all these scientific names are gonna get to you guys, you know, the thingy there. And then we have our connector measured out, so we're gonna make sure this is tight. We're secured there, secured there. Nice and tight, that looks good. Something to do quite frequently is just check all your connectors here and make sure everything's tight. All right, perfect. So we have that all measured up. Once we're done putting our filter together, putting our skimmer on there and just wrapping up all of our equipment, I'll go ahead and plug this into a Casa Wi-Fi timer. It's very important to know that you want to have your CO2 only running for when your lights are on. CO2 is not something that's on 24/7. You're gonna wanna usually, what I do, I have my CO2 turn on about an hour before my lights come on. That lets CO2 get in there, so when the light comes on, the plants are ready to uptake it. And then I have it turn off about an hour before my lights go out. So whatever CO2 is lingering in there, it can get absorbed up real quick. So when, you know, the lights go off and plants stop producing oxygen, they're not just doubling down and producing way more CO2 than that tank needs. So get a little Wi-Fi timer to control when your CO2 is coming on and off. It'll make your life way easier than coming on in here every day and manually turning it on and off. If you're like me, you forget to do stuff like that. So get yourself a timer and then your CO2 will be all set and your plant should be happy as ever.